I get a man, but I want you. I get a man, but I want you. And it's just nerves, it's just dick, making me think about someone new. You know I got so much to say. I try to hide it in my face and it don't work. You see through that I just wanna get with you. You're right, I got my guy, but I can't help it, I want you. Say you right, I got my guy, but let me up through your sheets. Have you all attacked me? Acting like a snake teeth. Oh, you can take it out of me. Tell me what it's about to be. Really feels about me. I can't tell no one. I got a man, but I want you. I got a man, but I want you. And it's just nerves, it's just deep, making me think about someone new. You know I got so much to say. I try to hide it in my face and it don't work. You see through that I just wanna get with you. And you're right, you're right. I got my guy, but I can't help it, I want you. Say you right, I got my guy, but I can't help it, I want you.
Girl, I want you like you want me to. I feel that energy when you're on top of me. I know you're back here controlling you, but you still hesitate, cause you choose loyalty. And I know your history, begging before your peak. Being so connected to that woman that you used to be. But the sex will cut your memory. A couple strokes to put it in the heaven.
I want you. I got a man, but I want you. And it's just nerves, it's just deep, making me think about someone new. You know I got so much to say. I try to hide it in my face and it don't work. You see through that I just wanna get with you. You're right, I got my guy, but I can't help it, I want you. Say you right, I got my guy, but I can't help it, I want you.
What's good, everybody? This your girl, China White. And you guys are now listening to The Mindset of a Black Woman. How are you guys tonight? How are you? Give me one little second. Hold on. How are you guys? Now, come on. Now, I want to play something, but here it is. That's what I want to play. So, before we get into we don't fantasize about the dude that like us. Women, we fantasize about the man we want, the man we desire. And that fantasy runs wild. And when we first meet a man, that is instantly when we start to fantasize about a man. Instantly. So, give me a second. Give me 1 second. Oh, shit. Okay. Damn. Okay, we back. So they blocked my damn live stream. Let me see if I'm back. Let me see if I can hear myself. Okay, so it was the SZA song. Why does SZA music always block? And I love that song I just played. Okay, so let me start over again because I'm going to have to edit the beginning of it. Fantasizing about a man, right? This is something that we women, we fight. We fight, we fight. Okay? We fight fantasizing about a man. We do. We fight this shit. We fight fantasizing. Okay, so this is gonna be a quickie. Like I said, this live stream is gonna be a quickie. About like 10-15 minutes. But I'm gonna break it down for y'all. So it's like this. Women, we don't like to fantasize. We don't, but we do. Soon as we meet a man we like, and that can happen the first time we meet a man, but we only fantasize about the man that we like and the man that we want. We do not fantasize about a man we don't like. We don't fantasize about a man that we like, that we met and he likes us. We don't do that. Women fantasize about men that they like. So it gets dark, right? It gets real dark because every woman has a fantasy. Every woman. We don't like talking about it because men judge us. Men judge us on our fantasy. They do. And this is the thing. A lot of times we tell a man our fantasies, sometimes we feel like the man would judge us. We do. We feel like a man would judge us. We feel like if we let him know, he's going to think that it's kind of like giving you the ball. It's like giving you the power. We don't want to do that. We don't want to give you the ball. We don't want to give you the power. So what we do is we kind of hide our fantasies. But the more and more we deal with you, the fantasy with being with you and wanting you, it actually grows. It actually grows. I have a fantasy. My fantasy is real dark though. My fantasy is real dark. I like wild things. You know what I mean? Every woman is different. Some women, we don't understand our fantasies. We think that with our fantasy, something is wrong with us. It's nothing wrong with you. That's something you want to get off with a man. You want to get it off with him, whoever the man is. You want to get it off with him. So that's the fantasy part. We only fantasize about men that we want, men that we desire, men that we crave, and men that we want to give our bodies to and our minds to. So we're not fantasizing about men that we don't like or men that we don't want. We're only fantasizing about men we want. And the thing is about the fantasy, right? Sometimes with women, when a woman has not yet explored her dark side, that fantasy part, she do get a little bit delusional when she has not explored it yet. But it'll be built up. It'll be built up to the point that she doesn't give a fuck. She has to get that off. I don't know if you guys ever watch For My Man, quote unquote. A lot of times those women have dark fantasies. Like, so when it comes to proving herself to a man, she's willing to prove that to a man because she never had her dark side. She never had that itch scratch. So she's more so feel connected to you when she's able to get her fantasies off on you. If you're the man that a woman deemed worthy of her fantasies, that woman will go through the extra mile when it comes to you. She just would, because it's like, in a sense, we want to live out our fantasies. We do. And that's why it takes a certain type of man to control those desires when it comes to a woman. You don't ever want to get a woman to feel like, you can't handle the truth. Because we already, like, a lot of women feel like, I know there's a lot of niggas that's green. It's a lot of men that's green when it comes to dark fantasies and freaky shit. And a lot of men really don't understand the dark side of fantasies in a woman's mind. A lot of men don't understand that they're still green. You know what I mean? So To understand the woman that you're dealing with, you don't judge. Even if her fantasy is extremely dark, don't judge. Don't judge her openly. It's just certain things you're not willing to do, but you don't want to judge her, especially when it comes to her fantasy. So we just be wanting to get that shit off, get our fantasies off, get our rocks off when it comes to a man. So when we talk about connecting, right? We use our fantasies to connect with a man. We do, but that's a good thing. That's a real good thing. Hold on, let me see. Should I put on Honey Love? Put on Honey Love. What's good? Hey. So, you want to get into her mind? You want to better understand a woman's fantasy. So, it's kind of like those first conversations. You allow her to. Hold on. Is that it? Nah, it sounds a little corny, right? That sounds a little corny. There you go. There you go. That's that shit right there. So, what's good? Hey. So, this going to be a real quick live stream. So, with the fantasies, you want her to be comfortable. Understanding, and women should understand their fantasy as well. Understand your fantasy. Understand where it's coming from. Understand your desires. Understand your wants. Understand the things you want done to you sexually. Understand how far you're willing to go with a man. So when you meet a man, he doesn't conquer your ass through your fantasies, and your ass end up doing things because it's kind of like for some women, because they never did things with any other partner, because this partner is doing it with you, you feel like that's my soulmate, that's my fire twin. Women, we think like that because we can actually connect with a man like no other, because no other man ever experienced our dark side or our fantasy. So it's good that you understand your fantasy, and all it is, it's just a fantasy. It's a fantasy. It's your light switch. It's what turns you on. And not just what turns you on, it's your dark side too. To better understand your dark side and your fantasy is when you do a lot of shadow work. When you begin to do your shadow work, a lot of women don't do their shadow work. Doing your shadow work, you're going to better understand your sexual desires and your fantasies. So a lot of women get caught up in their fantasies when they meet a man, and they live out their fantasies with the man, but they end up breaking the law with the man. They end up deleting people because that man captured their fantasy. Whether it's dark, whether it's light, whether it's in between, it doesn't matter. That's why you have to understand your fantasies. You have to understand your dark side as a woman. So it's kind of different for a man. For a man, men get pussy whipped. When a man has a certain type of fantasy, when it comes to a woman, men get pussy whipped when a woman fulfills your fantasy. And a man get caught up. You get what I'm saying? So it's like with women, we will begin to take upon a man's characteristics. You get what I'm saying? You begin to embody the man just because he understands your fantasy. That's why it's good for a woman to better understand her fantasy, so she doesn't get caught up with just any man that understands your fantasy and that's helping you live out your dream, whatever it is. So like let's say, for example, my fantasy is to for a man to understand um my my love style. You know what I mean? I feel like I can never find a man that can connect with me with my love style. And when you meet a man that can connect with you with your love style and he completely understands and he doesn't judge you, you will begin to live your dreams through that man, and you will begin to take upon his characteristics and do the things he does because you feel like there is nobody else in the world like him. But that's a man better understanding your mind, because you don't really understand your mind because you're not understanding your fantasy. It's just a fantasy, and it's just a man helping you explore your dark side. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's how a lot of women get caught up with a lot of, you know what I mean, bad guys, because she feel like she can actually connect with that man. But once you understand your fantasy, it's just a fantasy. It's not real. It's just things that turn you on. It's just things that bring a person close to you. Men have that as well. So for a man, let's say, because over here, we don't judge, right? We don't judge over here. So let's say for a man, he might like a woman to, let's say, lick your ass. I don't know. And you never found a woman that'll lick your ass. And you find a woman to lick your ass, and she doesn't have a problem with that. Then your ass get whipped on a woman. But a man can still keep his statue. He can still go through his everyday life, but he will get caught up on a woman. That woman has the potential to imprint him sexually through sex, right? But with women, it takes over our whole world because the fantasy, we actually believe that's real. We cannot distinguish what's reality and what's fantasy once a man take us there, the highest of our high. The highest of our high, because we never had that done before. We never had it done before. So because we never had it done before by nobody, by no man, that we begin to live our life through the man. So it doesn't matter what he says do. She's going to do it, even if it's wrong, even to go against her morals, because now she's living her fantasy through that man. If you understand what I'm saying. So I want y'all to understand that I might have to take this down and delete the first half because YouTube blocked one song I played. YouTube blocked the song I played, and I might have to upload it, put it up as an upload, like I did one of my live streams before. But I want y'all to understand the fantasy of women, and a man can understand his fantasy as well. So a man's fantasy is sexual. A woman's fantasy could be sexual, and it could be something as in a connection with a man. A man can get pussy whipped on a woman and still keep his statue. A woman can get caught up on a man and we lose ourselves through that man if she doesn't understand the fantasy. That's how a lot of women get manipulated. That's how a lot of men could play on a woman's emotions. That's how a lot of men could play on a woman's mind, because she will live out her fantasy through that man, and that will become her reality. Do you understand? That's real game if you actually go back and listen to it. So for a woman, you want to write down your fantasies, and you want to, even if it's dark, because some women fantasies may be, and I might come off, it's going to be a little dark, right? What I'm about to say may be dark. But for some women like making love, doing a crime with a man, and make love with a man after the crime, because she feel like that's a bond. She feels like showing him that she can be that woman beside him. that it brings her close to him. Even when it comes to deleting people and making love to him. That's how dark the fantasy is with a woman. That's why for certain women, you have to understand your dark side, your shadow side, because it could be nothing but a fantasy. And that's why a lot of women get caught up with. You ever heard some women, it's kind of like when Jeffrey Dahmer went to prison. It was women that was extremely turned on by men that does extreme type of crimes. So a man deleting people, a man harming children. That's a turn on for some women because that's her fantasy. That's her dark side. But women are not going to be open with it because they don't understand it and they don't want to be shone upon. And that's how dark it can go for some women. And that's when a woman will live out her fantasies through the man she's with. If that makes sense. It has to make sense. That's why that dude, Charlie, I think it's Charlie Manson, he's in prison for doing all those things to people. A woman, for some woman, that's an extreme turn on. Doing certain things to people and making love after the fact. Like I watched on a documentary. I think it was Forensic Files, or I think it was FBI Files. It was a couple. She was helping the man she was with grape other women. It was a turn on for her because when he was done with them and he used to strangle them, she would make love with him after that. That was a high for her. That was her dark side. So she was able to live out her fantasies through his reality. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's why as a woman to better understand your fantasies, because it will come out through the man you're with reality. And it's a man should understand the woman he's with fantasy. Any woman that a man deals with, you should better understand her fantasy. Because in a sense, you have a hold on her. You will have a hold on that woman. And give me a second. You will have a hold on that woman. Some women like spankings. Some women like to be chained up. Some women like to be choked. Some women like for a man to use a foreign object inside of them. Some women like to be abandoned. Some women like to be tortured in a sense. That's her dark fantasy. And any man that can capture that fantasy, that becomes her reality. She begins to she will very so much be obsessed with you because she's able to because you're able to connect with her on a different dimension that nobody else could. If you can understand what I'm saying. So the fantasy, understanding a woman's fantasy and women understanding their fantasies. Now, with men, let me see how long I've been on. I didn't want to be on here too long. See, I was on here 30 minutes. So, with men fantasy, men can actually have their fantasies, have their dark side in their fantasy with women, but not live through her reality. All he gets is pussy whip. A man could get pussy whip from the woman he's with. That's how men get pussy whip. Because she's able to capture the things he wants done in the bedroom. So he would like very so much be attached to that woman. That's why it's better for men to understand their fantasy. But it's worse for a woman because the man is still able to not lose his reality, right? but in a sense fall deeply in love with her. She can she can actually imprint him sexually. But with the woman will be addicted and obsessed with him, and she's able to live out her fantasies. She's able to live out her dark side, her dark fantasies through that man. So that's why women go searching for the most ruthless, some of the most baddest men, because she feels like that man can understand and Roger can't. Billy can't. But Jacob can. But Brian can. Do you understand what I'm saying? A woman's addiction to a mass person that deletes people, that's a high for some women, because her dark side is dark. Her fantasy is dark. And that takes a woman on a high. Some women enjoy committing crimes with a man, or doing certain crimes with a man, to get that off, because it does fulfill her dark side. It does. But that's understanding a woman's fantasy. Now, it can even be as light as she never had a pussy ate. She never had a pussy ate. She never had her nipples sucked on. She never made love anally. It can be light as that, right? For some men, that's not even light. But it can be that light, and then it can get real dark, right? So that's understanding, and that's why I say for women to better understand yourself is you doing shadow work, because you need to know what's reality and what's a fantasy. Some women intertwine their fantasies and reality together when they meet a man, because they never did their shadow work. And some men, this is why it's hard for you to understand women, because you don't even understand the fantasy. You don't even, the fantasy. What men need to understand about a woman's fantasy is that it gets real dark. It's like a rabbit hole. It's like a rabbit hole. You never know. That is when a woman open up to you. The moment a woman says, "This is my fantasy," when a woman say, this is," when she opens up, when she open up to you, that's how you know you reach the bottom of the woman, when she's not ashamed to say that. And it could be this fucked up. I'm just giving you an example. I want to make love on top of a corpse, or I want you to urinate in my mouth, or I want you to um I want you to make love with a man and I swallow the semen. Or that's how deep it can go with a woman wanting that fantasy. And the fantasies could be as twisted, as dark as um it goes. It's a rabbit hole. And that's just better understanding the woman's fantasy. Hold on, give me a second. So for some men don't understand that, and that's why your girl is here. That's why your girl is here. So it can be that dark, and it can be Oh, hold on. It can be that dark, and it can be what's good, everybody? It can be that dark, and it can be that twisted, right? So that's why when we talking about surface, right? Surface level is when men don't understand a woman's mind. They approach is negative. But I noticed that men that understand women and understand women's mind, their approach is not negative. That's how I know who's green and who's not. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm giving y'all some gems right now. This, what I am saying, is what every woman wish men could understand. And still, with me saying this, men still not going to understand. There are men that's not going to understand. They're not going to understand. Even with this live stream is very simple, right? But, and this is why I developed this channel, so you can better understand, and so women can actually help, right? And women can better understand their self too, in their nature. The thing is, when a woman does not understand her fantasy, that's why you see good girls go down with bad boys, because that good girl was never taught herself, maybe by her mother or maybe by her father, right? And she gets caught up with a man at a younger age. That's how a lot of good girls go down, because their dark side is that guy and the things that he do, and that guy understands her. Now, she could have easily because she may not like his lifestyle, but she may enjoy his dark side. Do you understand? A woman takes the good with the bad. So if dealing with this guy and he does those things, even though she doesn't agree with it, he can connect with me. He can connect with my dark side. He can connect with that fire that burns inside of me. That's the only thing she cares about, is because he understands that dark side, and he was able to make a connection with her. So once a woman is connected, it's hard for her to unplug. It would take a lot of years. It doesn't matter if he's physical abusive. It doesn't matter if he's mental abusive. It doesn't matter. When you see a woman in a relationship that's extremely toxic, and the man is doing certain things, even with a man, when a man is in a toxic relationship, well, they stay because that person actually understands their dark side. And push come to shove, the dark side overrides their reality, because the dark side is their fantasy. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying? So their dark side is their fantasy, but they're able to live out their fantasies through their reality. So they take the good with the bad. That's why it's very important for a man to understand women, not look at it negative. Women is not a negative. The negative to women is dealing with a woman you can't maintain. That's the negative. That's what men don't understand. The men that don't understand women have positive interactions with women, because they don't understand women, and they're forcing something that's not there. You will never understand that woman, and what frustrates you is she's not letting you in. Well, you're not going to get in. You're forcing her to be with you at that point. That's why your interaction is so negative. If it was so simple for you to not deal with a woman that doesn't connect with you, life would be simple for men. But men don't listen. Men are driven by their egos. A man's ego, it cripples them. That's why women play on men's ego, because your ego becomes something easy to play with, because your ego is so big. If you understand what I'm saying, if you understand, putting things in the right perspective when it comes to women. You're not, it's nothing wrong with you if the woman does not connect with you. It doesn't fit. The pieces of the puzzle don't fit. You got to get another piece. It's nothing wrong with you. It just doesn't fit. It has nothing to do with your dick. It has nothing to do with your face. It has nothing to do with your body. It has nothing to do. It has everything to do with she's not receiving you. If she doesn't receive you, you get another puzzle and it fits, right? See how simple that was? See how that breakdown was so simple? Do you understand? That's what men need to understand. It will be simple, that simple, if you could understand. So when we go back to the fantasy, better understand the woman that opens up to you. The moment a woman open up to you, hold on. What you doing? So what was I? And then I'm about to end this live stream. I gotta go. But to understand, I'm gonna give women some game and I'm gonna give men some game. This is for men. The woman that opens up to you, that's the woman that wants to live out her fantasy. She wants you to better understand her. With you, that means a lot. And that's why I say respect has to come into play. The thing is, men has lost so much. A lot of men don't even understand the conquering process to a woman. That's part of conquering a woman. When a woman drops her guards, because me dropping my guards is when I tell you about my fantasy. Every woman is not going to tell you about her fantasy, but if she do, that's a conquering part. It's either you fulfill that fantasy with her or you choose not to. It depends on what her fantasy is, right? That's up to you. That's real big, because that's when she connects with a man. That's when a woman connects with a man. Now, for women, is to better understand your fantasy. Because if your fantasy is extremely dark, like I got some fantasies, you know what I mean? My fantasy, it has a lot to do with ropes and ties. But it doesn't involve nobody, it just involves me. You know what I mean? But that's my fantasy. I got dark fantasy, but it doesn't involve other people, right? It just involves me and a man I'm dealing with. But for women to better understand their fantasy, you have to understand it's just a fantasy. You have to take the fantasy out of real life. That's why some couples, they understand their fantasy and they do role play. The man will do role play with his woman so she can actually be fulfilled in that space. They do role play because the man understands, and that woman will never part from that man. She would never part because he understands her fantasy. Do you understand what I mean? That's some real shit. That is some real shit. understanding her fantasy. A woman must understand her fantasy. So if you could, as a woman, write down your fantasy, and it have never been done, and if it's real dark, find the man that you're dealing with, or find someone that does role play if it's that dark, because some women fantasy is that dark. It is that dark. And when it comes to, oh, what's good, baby? What's good? And when it comes to getting her fulfillment met, he has to understand her fantasy. And that's how a woman gets her. She can separate reality from fantasy. Is when she meet a man that can dominate her fantasy, and that leads to her reality. When a man could do that, when a man could dominate her fantasy and her reality, that is one hell of a man. A woman will not depart from you because you actually gets it. You get it. But a lot of men, they do not understand that part. And that's a dark side of a woman. That's fantasy and reality. So I love y'all. I hope y'all have fun here. Until we meet again in this chat room, this your girl China White. And listen, I'm gonna have to edit the first part of this live stream because YouTube did block it. YouTube blocked the first part of my live stream because I played SZA. So I'm gonna have to take I don't know if I'm gonna take it down or just edit it while it's still up. So I hope you guys can go back, listen to the replay, and you guys get a good dose of understanding why I can't end it. I already dropped some game. I've been on 48 minutes. You the one was playing games. You are. I've been on here almost 50 minutes. An hour. That's not what you said. You said 30 minutes. I was on here an hour. I'm already done dropping my gems. I am. So that's it. So I don't know if I'm gonna edit it, close it, or I'm gonna re-upload it. I don't know which one I'm gonna do. I gotta edit. I am gonna end it. Cause you was playing. That was you. That wasn't me. But I love y'all, right? So until we meet again in this chat room, this your girl China White. I'm about to play this R. Kelly on the way out. I love y'all. So until we meet again, this your girl China White. I love y'all. Peace.
No fear. Your body's calling. This ain't never. I will be right here. So happy.